I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey. I laugh because I do that every Tuesday. A is my intro to the show because we're always dancing, always moving. What's up? How you guys doing? Thank you guys for joining us. This is the Flash After Show. I am your host, Jeff Williams, but I am never alone. Right now, I got my ride or die, my man to my left, the OG of the Flash. Zach, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
Doing
We're missing one. Shiksha is not here. She is actually at work right now, having to she has to do what she has to do.
You know,
she has to live a life. So we hope all the best as well with her.
A nice shout out to you.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
As Zach said in the text message, hope you're having fun at work, if you can have fun at work. No, but we're going to be getting into the whole after show.
Okay.
Yes. I like it. No, but we're getting into the whole after show. There was so much to talk about with this Flash episode. There wasn't a whole lot of action, but there was a whole lot of character development and just a lot of characters.
A ton.
There was so much family back. We got to see Wally. We got to see Cisco finally coming back as well. And we get to see all the things that's going on with Iris. And Barry and Wally, they have a little
brotherly tiff.
Yeah, brotherly tiff, and I loved it. But I'm definitely gonna ask you about that. And then Nash, what's going on with Wells? We're just gonna call him Wells at this point because we don't even know which one he is. And then a lot of stuff's going on with Cisco. So there's, like I said, there's so much stuff to talk about. We're gonna talk about all of it. But what were your overall thoughts on this episode?
Man, tonight's episode started off like a banger. It was amazing. Introduction of Wally coming back. I don't recall other times when he's come back and it's been so eventful, but I've absolutely loved it. Like, he just came in flying and literally stole the show. It's really set the bar high for what tonight's episode kind of had in store, and I overall really enjoyed it. It's funny, sometimes I look at episodes and I'm like, man, that action was amazing. I really liked that episode, but the story was whack. And then tonight's episode was like, there's not much action, but the storyline itself really starts to feed into what's going to be happening in the later end of the season. And I really liked it.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed tonight's episode a lot. And I know I don't say that a lot, guys. So tonight I did.
No, I 100% agree with you. I love this episode. And the one thing that I kind of have problems with in other episodes is because they have so many characters, there's so many different storylines going on at the same time.
Yes.
With this one, it was one centered focus. Obviously, there was Nash Wells having problems on the side, but it was still centered around Barry and Wally. And they kind of all came together with Cisco helping at the end, and then them having to figure out that Nash Wells is really the Reverse Flash, and there's so much stuff going on with that. But no, I loved how they were all together, bringing back and kind of just being the family like they should be.
I think they're really hitting their sweet spot. Like the show itself, as a whole, they're understanding how to function with all these actors that are, for all intent and purposes, are all stars in themselves and should get as much screen time as they should be getting, but can't, obviously. So, we'll see little pop-ins of Joe, of Camille, of Joe's wife, and all these like tiny little characters, big characters come in and out, and the writers, the showrunners are understanding how to do it right now, and it's working for me. I'm liking it because it's not like we didn't have anything of Ralph, nothing of Sue, obviously. And it's not like
Chester, there's so many characters that are big name characters. Yeah.
But they're not forgotten, which is great. Like, we know that they're there. It's not important for them to be. They're integral to the night's episode. So it's not like we have to put everyone in, which is great. So I'm happy that they're doing that, and it's making the show move a lot smoother.
Ain't that the truth? They're like, we know everything that's going on. Like, we understand. That's why he's here. That's why he's not here. Like, everything. We're good.
Let us miss some people every once in a while,
No.
So just like tonight with Wally. I mean, perfect. He has been gone for 2 seasons?
Yeah.
Season and a half?
However long he's been gone, it's been too long. Because, like, just from the initial scene, loving their interactions with each other, first off, his new powers are dope. Let's just leave it at that. But like just seeing their interactions was great to have him back. So I
gotta say I
want Wally more often.
I was not much of a fan when he first came onto the show. I did not like the acting. The storyline that they gave him was really weak. I was hated on by old cast members here, and I gotta say I'm a fan now. I really enjoy who he is. I think he kind of found his groove as well as an actor, as a the Kid Flash as well. And yeah, man, he like stole the show tonight.
Yeah,
I loved him tonight.
I feel like I don't want to dive too deep into it because we're definitely going to talk about it.
But sorry, I might be jumping ahead of things.
Look, we're just showing our love for Wally West because there was so much. But I got to spread some more love to a family member of Wally West. I want to talk about Iris in this part because we're still dealing with Iris, fake Iris, who's really Ava. We're still dealing with that. But how did you feel when that Iris was talking to Barry towards the end and saying, you know what, you don't really need your Speed Force. Like, you can live without it. Do you think that, how'd you feel about that?
Okay, how I felt about that is where this is now where we see in the show people are starting to realize. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy that this now is happening. But this is what everyone wanted 3, 4, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago or however long when it was episode 1 and the flip happened. And I was like, how does Barry not realize that's his wife? And I'm like, give it some time. Yeah. Okay? There's a buildup that needs to happen. If I got that in the beginning, I'd be like, I would think this is such a stupid plot line. Like, why are we doing this? It's 1 episode. They did this purposely so that they could spread this across multi-episodes. Mm-hmm. So everyone that hated on us and was hating on Barry saying like, hey, he's a bad husband. No, it's perfect for the storyline. And
like, even to like go farther in his defense, he asked Joe, he's like, yo, something's wrong with Iris. And he was like, nah, dude, chill. That's your wife. You remember? Like, he thought something was going on. And then Joe kind of talked him off that ledge. So it's not like he didn't think anything. He knew something.
He knew. There was little things.
Something was different.
And here's the thing. There were subtleties that like I know like Cisco didn't pick up on either. And she's like, how is Barry a good husband? And I'm like, no, he noticed a little bit. Like, there's these little subtle cues that he puts in, but it doesn't need to be highlighted so much. What is cool, what is nice that is highlighted, is that we have Wally, who's been gone for so long. He's the odd man out who has not been around Iris, but knows his sister and can instantly be like, oh, that's not Iris.
Yeah, that was literally my next question is like, how do you feel that Wally is the person?
Perfect.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Yeah. Why do you think it's perfect? Because I have a reason.
It's a catalyst. It's the thing that is gonna finally be. He's the odd man out that everyone has been so encumbered with each other and so around everyone, where so much happens. It's hard to notice subtle differences and changes in people. Someone like Wally, who's been gone, if he's like, hey, like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. He knew something was up with Barry right away. And now he's saying towards the end he knows something's up with Iris. So it's going to make people think and question, which we got to see a little bit with Camille real quick. But I hope Joe now takes this into account because there has been across multiple characters, different little instances where it's like, what did you just say, Iris?
Yeah, I was going to say, because like Barry went to Joe, then Iris yelled at Joe, and he's like, all right, you wilding out. Now Now it's Wally West saying that she's wilding. And like, it's just like too many people saying the same thing. Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be different. It'll be interesting to see. But like, I agree with you. When I first saw it was going to be him that tells her, I was like, I like it that it's the brother that finds out, or that noticed the difference. Because like, for me, you can have your parents, you can have your loved ones and stuff, but like you were raised with your siblings, so you could probably pick up on like sibling intuition more. And I was kind of going off that, but obviously they weren't raised together.
Okay. Don't make me fact check you.
No. I know, but that was still my reasoning in my head. And I was like, I mean, I'm okay with it. Because I wasn't frustrated. I could see a lot of people be like, well, he's so new. Like, how's he figuring it out? But like, sometimes you need an outsider's perspective. Yeah. And I was just going to go along with the lines of, that's his brother. That's her brother. So obviously,
you know what it is? You know the term nose blind?
I've heard of it, but I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
You have like, if you have like stinky gym socks just chilling in your room all the time, your room's eventually just going to start to smell normal to you, but someone else walks in and be like, what is that stench?
That's devastating. we hope no one.
The more
ever,
you know.
The more you know.
You're welcome. But that's what's happening. I don't know what to call it,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm feeling is happening
when
here.
you said nose blind, I was thinking it's like something that's really close to you that you just don't see. Like I was about to put like a pencil up to my nose.
I mean, that could be a thing too. Yeah, that's not
sure.
what it is.
I was like,
but...
yeah, I've heard of nose blind, and just gonna play it off. But no, that's something I'm gonna use in a conversation next time.
There you go.
But let's move on to Barry and Wally because that was really the meat of this whole episode. We see Wally finally coming back. What we kind of touched on it a little bit. What was your initial thoughts of Wally 2.0, the Zen version of Wally?
Man, it's cool. It's cool because you always have a superhero character, and there's like there's an archetype to what a superhero is, and they're always kind of like that wholesome country boy, does like always putting everyone else first and doesn't even think about themselves. They always are the same kind of, and it's rare that they break from that mold. But with this, Wally comes back, and he is still his superhero himself, but he broke the mold in a sense of he's a Zen kind of, like, almost, he's not religious, but spiritual, and it's just something you don't see, really. I've never seen, like, you've always, like, there's, like, the intelligent superheroes, the strong ones, you know, the jockey kind of ones.
Yeah.
This is different.
It's like the most calm version, but like that's almost the most dangerous because I've never seen Barry turn lightning into a flower, but Wally over here just doing magic, looking like Doctor Strange and stuff. It just like it was wild.
It makes me. I mean, it was certainly for like effects.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's possible. It's
Me
cool. I dig his powers. I mean, more so what we saw on the helicopter than with the flower. The flower was just kind of like a showing off kind of thing, but yeah, I like it.
Not to venture off too much,
No, go for
I'm
it.
kind of frustrated that they didn't really teach Barry any of the new tricks because we saw like multiple kid flashes. Dudes like just popping out like different.
That was pretty cool.
That was dope, and like they never really talked about that. They kind of like, oh, you're gonna have to teach me, and they didn't like explain any of the really new powers.
So was that a new power? Because I know that they do the same thing but try and mess with cinematography.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe they were just messing with cinematography there and like trying something new of, I don't know if it was like multiple Wallies, but like
Yeah, because I was gonna say the only time I've seen multiple Barrys is when he was creating. I forgot the word, but he was creating another version of himself to kill. Zen.
Oh, he like legit pulled someone from Yeah.
So like that's the only time, but like this one. Maybe this was a new camera, cinematography, but it made it look like it was a different power.
It made it look like boom, boom,
Yeah.
like things are coming out of him. So the only thing that I remember was Reverse Flash did something like that. Like his power was something along those lines where he would have two bodies kind of in one place, moving that fast so that he could be in two places at once. Yeah, I mean, the chat's going well right now. Zen Wally, very different, and his powers are cool. Wally created remnants. That's what it was. Remnants.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so,
Well, no, so
that's what the word you're looking for.
Yeah, remnants. I'm okay with that, but I kind of wish they would have said it because it didn't just like click. Oh, he's just doing the same thing. It kind of seemed like he was doing new tricks because right before that he was doing something new.
Yeah. Jazzy John says, I mean, they didn't talk about it probably because of the Speed Force in the situation that was going on. I mean, like, Wally came in and was just like, hey, man, I didn't come home just for a reunion. Like, I have something to talk to you about. I guarantee if he was there to just hang out and be like, hey, it's been a while. You know, this whole crisis thing happened. I'm good. Don't worry about it. Sorry I missed out. But by the way, check it out. I knew these new tricks. Like, I'm sure he would have brought it up.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, yes. He doesn't need to bring it up because there's a lot more pressing issues. But as a fan, just give him the powers. Say like a line like, "Hey, remember those powers next time." Like at the end or something. Yeah, that would have been cool. But I mean, moving on. We only have a certain amount of time left. But you think Wally was wrong for going after Barry?
Yeah. Yeah.
And why? And why do you think? Because, yeah.
I mean, dude, because he's coming in thinking like he's coming in showing himself as this Zen guy, and like I get it. Like life is growth, and you can't be the same person always. And Wally's trying to be the Zen person, and he breaks out of it, and that's the whole part of the practice and continuing. But he laid into him real hard, and it almost was counterintuitive to what he like came in to say. Hey, we're gonna go into the Speed Force. We're in it. Found out that Barry was at fault, and then was like, "I'm not gonna teach you." It was almost like a little toddler just like throwing a hissy fit. He legit said, "We're gonna lose our powers. You have to find another teacher to try and fix this. I'm not helping."
Yeah.
Not you're losing your powers. We are. And he was like okay with it.
I think that's like. Well, through this whole episode, we saw the Zen version of Wally West, but we also see him going back to his old ways. And I feel like that was a version of him going back to his old ways.
Yeah.
And Joe even kind of calls him out on that. He's like, yo, you've been doing all this work. Don't go back to your old ways, pretty much. Yeah. So I kind of associated with that. But I also think he was right in the sense that, Barry, you're not telling me what happened. You never told me anything that happened. You're keeping all the secrets. You're not alone. There's so many people that he's affecting that he never really thinks about. And then I think it was more or less like, this is an ongoing issue. Yeah. He's always had issues with Barry, kind of leaving him to be the second fiddle, not telling him all the information.
That's why he left. Yeah.
And that's why I left. And then him coming back doing the same exact thing is kind of just blowing over.
See, yes, no. This is where like us as an audience interacts with like the writing and everything. He left. Kid Flash left because he was in the shadow of Barry. Mm-hmm. Rightfully so. Totally get it. Got to find yourself. He also, the actor, wanted to leave the show.
Well, yeah.
And so the writers had to do something about it. So them now coming back and saying this, it's kind of, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense, but it doesn't, because like Barry, like he wasn't going to come back to the show. Like there couldn't have been an episode where Barry's like, hey, let me go call Kid Flash and tell him like something's going on. Barry is the only speedster that we have currently right now, minus Reverse Flash, who has his own negative speed force. He doesn't have anyone to talk to about these things. Yeah, he could say something to Joe or say something to Iris or maybe call up Wally, but he wasn't available. He's not like physically writing in the show available for the acting. So no, he wasn't able to call him. So I think that was kind of a cop-out, that it was just like, you never call me, you never talk to me about these things. How would he have? So Barry had to deal with it on his own because no one's going to be able to relate. You know? Yeah. Maybe Iris for a brief moment because she had a little bit of the powers, but and you know, he doesn't have his daughter around.
Yeah, but it just seems like Barry doesn't learn. Like he.
Oh my God, no.
But like the thing that bothers me is like my guy. He's like, yes, I'm learning. I'm gonna even reiterate that I should tell people more things every season. And then what does he do? Not tell people everything that happens.
Always, yeah.
In Crisis. But to go against my own argument, which is wild.
Okay, dude.
We kind of talked about this. I don't really remember that scene being that big in Crisis, where when we're talking about a specific scene that they talked about, where Barry is talking to the Spectre and he needs the Spectre's powers to bring back the Speed Force, bring back the Speed Force, and
to kind of go through the Speed Force and grab everyone, right? That's what
to
was
grab
going
everybody.
on. Yeah.
The long story short, the Speed Force gets infected with the Spectre. How'd you even feel about that being the reason why the Speed Force is dead?
Yeah, no, I didn't like that either. It's now starting to get very like, oh, well, we could just make a Speed Force, or there's like power beyond the Speed Force that is, you know, there before that, when the Speed Force was all time and power and everything prior in other seasons. It's a lot of writing yourself in corners and trying to back out of it, and you know, it is what it is.
See, I didn't mind the reason or the result, as in they're gonna build a new one, because once Reverse Flash says, "Oh, I built my own Speed Force," and it's just a negative version.
Yeah.
That means all options are available in my eyes. So like this could have been an option a long time ago. So that's why that's still fine. And I say hypothetical because if you did it once, you might as well be able to do it again. Yeah. But like for them to use Spectre's powers for like a negative thing, I just didn't understand the reasoning why. Because we're supposed to see Oliver. This is like his last last duty as a good guy, as a hero.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because we don't remember that being a pivotal scene or him saying something. Maybe Oliver the Spectre said, don't do this because this could hurt potential stuff. But at the end of the day, we're saving lives here. We're saving universes. So
What doesn't make sense to me is, though, why would Spectre's energy counteract with the Speed Force?
I don't know.
If anything, it's a tandem thing, you know?
And like my only thing is like it's frustrating, but I hope they don't just drop it and then like kind of move past it, like, oh, so we're gonna just build our own now. Like you got to talk about why the Spectre's powers did this. Y'all made him such y'all as in the writers created Spectre, and they made him such a pivotal character in Crisis, and now his powers are being negatively used in the Flash. It just doesn't make sense.
Doesn't at all.
I'm hoping more comes from that storyline.
I hope so too, especially because like Joe brought it up to Wally. He's like, yo, you know, Barry's gonna beat himself up over this. I mean, Barry messed up, you know, and he was doing something to save the universe.
Yeah.
And I mean, Iris had some reasoning. Fake Iris had some reasoning of like, hey, maybe it's time for you to like be able to live your own life, and this is why this is happening.
Yeah. But
I mean, it just doesn't jive with me.
So I didn't mention this when we talked about it at first, but I wasn't that upset with the fake Iris saying that.
I wasn't either.
Because of Barry's response. It was true.
Yeah.
Barry does the same thing. He's like, what would I be without the Speed Force? My guy, you were without the Speed Force for like what, 23 years? Like that's a total guess on number how old he was before. Yeah. But like we've talked about this. You've lost your speed before. You are more than just a speed. So I did not like that situation. I understand it was another nod to this not really her, but like his response was not an evolved Barry Allen response.
It was not. Well, it's interesting because I mean maybe he's just not as evolved as he once was. We saw prior in other episodes his healing was gone. He has like his hands was like twitching out or whatever.
No, I mean
that
like
is.
character development evolved, as in like learning from past mistakes that no, this is not, the powers is not all of me. Like I'm more than just the powers. That's what I meant by there's no evolving in character development.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like we're nitpicking here because because we love the show and we want straight continuity, but like they at the end of the day, like you said, they have to keep the show going, so they have to make more bullet points. Like remember, this is not really Iris.
Yeah, my guess, and this is a long shot. It's probably it could be a throwback all the way to season 1 in a sense of Barry never thought he could be with Iris. You know, so like he's vulnerable in that sense of like that's the first thing. Like his world is Iris, and if he loses his powers, he was able to get Iris because of his powers and the things that he could do, and like stand in front of her and be seen. You know, more than just a brother. Maybe he just reverted back to that, and you know, it was a moment of weakness, and it's not character development, obviously, but. Could be a reasoning.
I mean, it's a moment of weakness.
Yeah.
I mean, you just lose your powers. Like, dog, what am I? I'm like, dog, you're a whole person. It's
you
just
question
like,
it.
I don't know. It just happens. But from one person who doesn't know who he is to another person who is multiple people, what is going on with Nash Wells, Reverse Flash? What's going on there?
Yeah. Okay. So. I was doing some digging, doing some reading, and it's always hard to see and tell what's real on the internet and whatnot. But I think I made a prediction about this because he was Pariah, and he did get to go across time and space and see all of himself through past, like all the things that he did wrong. That left remnants of him throughout, and it just wasn't completely like he was something outside of what was going on with Crisis. And so those memories are still intact with him. And Wells, Reverse Flash, is not a Wells at all. Thawne is it's just his body. So like he could have survived in some sense because he was in the negative Speed Force, which is just outside of everything of time and space and all this world that we live in. So what's going on with him is he is seeing his other people, like all the other Wells that were present.
I was
and
gonna
they're
say,
still
'cause
there for him.
But that almost like goes against.
It does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like if it makes sense if it's only Harrison Wells, as in Reverse Flash, and Nash Wells.
It doesn't make any sense if it's that.
Yeah,
it makes sense
I'm
if
saying,
it's
like,
all the other Wells.
I'm saying like if Reverse Flash, his mind or consciousness is in the negative Speed Force,
Right.
and now he can come back,
Yeah.
and it's only him,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
That does make sense. Yes.
Now that the fact that we've seen multiple Flashes or multiple Wells, as in like the different renditions of Wells and Reverse Flash, now I'm like, it has to be one or the other. So it has to be like, maybe there's just multiple versions of him internally, and they kind of switch
internally. It's not like a doppelganger that's out in the real world.
So it's almost like Caitlyn and Killer Frost.
Yes.
In a sense. So does that mean a different version of Wells could take over later?
That's a good question. It could. Yeah. I mean, we got to see Charlotte, and then did we see another one?
I think it was just Charlotte, and then the rest of them was just So like now,
man, that just asked so many questions.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think is going on with the Wells. I'm gonna just call it that. Call it what it is. Let us know what you think is going on with the Wells, because I don't know. There's so much going on. We will find out more soon. But there's still more to talk about the Nash side of it.
Yeah.
Do you think that Nash was wrong for being mad at Cisco? Because we see before we get Reverse Flash, let me bring it back a little bit. We see Nash going to Cisco like, "Yo, I need help. Something's going on." And then he doesn't like kind of talk about what happens, but he says, "I need your help," and Cisco's just not having it. What do you think about that whole situation?
It's weird. I mean, they're trying to spark flames to. This was semi of a slow episode in terms of action, and this is kind of like a little bit of a build up. I don't know. Something's off with Cisco.
Yeah.
For him to snap like that, and like we didn't have enough backstory to know what was up with Cisco for him to be so upset, other than like, he's chasing this the baddie of the episode who like was Turtle 2, who cares?
Exactly.
Whatever.
Like we haven't even mentioned them because like it's a baddie of the week.
You're boring. Yeah.
And like they're so to the people in the comments like, "Yo, you didn't even mention him." That's why.
Yeah. Turtle 2, you mentioned. Done. Something's going on with Cisco there. Obviously, like we got a little backstory. Like he was trying to chase her, and we just like we don't have enough to care. So like when scenes like this happen, it's hard to fill everything in. Obviously, we get it. So it seems forced. It didn't seem right. Was upset with Cisco and Nash. Even I'm like, dude, just like tell him what's up.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
stop the cloak and dagger, like in the secrets.
There was two things, twofold. Why weren't you just being all the way transparent? He's like, "There's something going on." Tell him what's going on, because he's like, "I'm seeing another version of myself." That would have clicked for Cisco.
Dude, easily, because I think the chat was talking about it before. I was glimpsing over, and they were talking about, I think, on Batwoman, there was a doppelganger, and what Cisco talked about, the degeneration of the brain, like someone eventually dies.
Yeah.
It would have been very simple. Hey, by the way, I'm seeing this guy who has like a French accent but looks just like me, and then the guy with red glowing eyes. What's going on? You know?
Yeah. For people in the comments, they're probably talking about it right now. They're talking about Batwoman's sister. There's a doppelganger.
I did not see it, but
I'm like behind on Batwoman, but I know exactly what they're talking about because I've gotten to that point. But that is another thing they expressed, is that like one of these ladies are gonna pass away because of that. So to your point, why is Nash not saying that?
Just speak up.
That's all we're asking.
Just speak up.
But hey,
everyone needs to just like speak up. But then again, we wouldn't have a show if it's just like, hey, this is my problem. Oh, that's the issue. Okay, I know how to solve it. Boom, done.
Yeah,
maybe
they'll speak up next week. Probably
it'd be
not.
like those little like Star Wars memes that you see where it's just like Anakin holding his mom. Oh, Annie, like force heal me. Okay, and then like roll credits. Okay, whatever.
But yeah, like I said, they're hopefully maybe next week they'll talk about, hey, Iris, something's going on. Maybe we should fix that. But we'll see. But before we get, obviously we can't talk about that because that's next week.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the meta tweets, a special segment where we bring in the audience, talk about what they're saying while they're watching the show live with us.
Let's do it. All right. So the first one, that is not the first one. You went in reverse.
Producer Ryan. No. So the first one, which one do we have?
So the first one I have is Princess Star Sarcasm, and it's literally the opening of the episode. I could not pass this up. I was so impressed with what we had. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, okay. There it is. While Ryan brings that up, I could describe it.
As speedy as a flash.
Yeah. Princess says, "Damn, Wally, that was dope. ASF. Hashtag the Flash." And it's legit Wally just taking apart this helicopter. And what a way to open up the show. I was like, jaw dropped, looked over at you. I was like, what is going on? This is so cool.
Yeah. In the tweet, they're like re-showing the plane scene, the helicopter scene, and like rewatching it. It looks even more like Doctor Strange.
It really does, just like the doppelgangers coming out. It is the coolest thing in the world.
I love it. I'm just comparing it to something else I love.
No, you know what? It all coincides. It's great. I loved it. So clearly loved it enough to shout it out to you guys. So Princess Sarcasm, nice one. I loved it. Next one we have Jordan Mickens at Jordan Mickens. I love when they do this and they pull from the comics so much, and when like you get to actually see it and be like, I like watching it and be like, oh my god, I remember this panel in the comic book. Like, wow, it's like panel for panel, just like in the comics with Big Star Eyes, hashtag the Flash. Unfortunately, they didn't pull a side-by-side screen, but we have Barry and Wally running next to each other in the comic, and that happens tons of times in this. There's actually another photo that I couldn't find, but was floating around the internet a lot, where Barry and Wally come together, and they're hugging, and they're just, like, super happy to see each other, and that embrace of being together, of, like, getting to, like, a long-lost brother coming together again. So it's just always great when they do this, and, Jordan Mickens apparently agrees with me and loves to see the relationships between the comic and the show. Next, we have Foe is losing her sharp-winged mind at Iris West Allen's. And it looks like a scene from... Yeah. Real Iris, not getting to see Wally again. This makes me so sad. Oh, my God. And this is from Karate Kid, right?
Yes, the newer Karate Kid. And in the movie, Jaden is just moving to the new city.
Yep.
And he's like, why am I here? I hate it here. And this is my first time seeing this. I just love seeing
perfect description of what's going on with Iris. And, I mean, I feel bad for her. She doesn't get to see her brother, and he just leaves at the end of the episode. So.
Yo, that was real sad when Iris was like, I'm just so happy to see him happy. I was like, dang.
I know. And
that was
just
one
watching
line.
him.
It was hard.
Yeah,
that
it was
deep.
tough. And then last but not least, how can we not, just M at Candace KP. The Speed Force said it. Loves Barry, and picking him was the best decision made. Hashtag the Flash with a good Michael Scott crying, and that was a heartfelt moment.
I know.
That was really like, I mean, look, I've seen that mother die so many times now, but it still gets to me. Barry's mom died. Barry's dad has died a bunch of times, and sometimes they're like whatever, but like this one was a good one.
Yo,
it got to me.
Every time the actress gets the call, she's like, "Am I crying this episode?" They're like, obviously. Yeah. Are you coming to Vancouver? Like the answer is yes, both ways. All
right, wait. Am I dying this episode? Yeah, of course.
Yes, you're still coming to Vancouver.
Yeah. So, and guys, that was Meta Tweets. It's where we like to watch what you are saying while we were watching live streaming. So, put something out cool, and maybe I'll get to shout you out next week.
Yes, and that will do it for us. And like you said, next week we will be talking to you guys more. Leave in the comments what you guys think is going on with the Wells, because we don't really know. Like, a lot of stuff's going on. But before we leave, where can they find you?
Guys, my name is Zach Silverman. You can find me all across social media with Zach at the CH Silverman 2.
And if you guys want to continue the conversation with your boy, you can follow me at Jeff Williams Jr. at socialmedia.com. Yeah, and you guys have a good one.
Later, guys.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.